Hey, bud, what'd you think, man? Let me know some things about what can we expect from you?
Fireworks.
Fireworks. You ready, bud?
That's the fight that everybody want to see.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Do you respect him as like when he's like, I got a couple fights left, I'm at the end, I'm only trying to get mega fights, so.
Terence Crawford accepted Jaron Ennis's offer to fight for all of his super middleweight championships. Crawford's remark was the most unexpected, given he had never discussed a fight with Jaron Ennis.
Like I said before, you know, that's my obligation in the contract, and I gotta honor that. If you know, that's the next move for me and my.
However, during an interview as he prepared for his next bout, he stated that he was willing to go to the super middleweight division if Crawford gave him a title shot and that he was in for a 2026 battle. This would put him in the same predicament as Terence Crawford, who transitioned from welterweight to super middleweight after fighting one opponent at 154 pounds.
Terence Crawford against Jaron Ennis, for me, is the best fight in American boxing. But it needs to be a payday for Crawford that would get him interested, because Crawford knows how good Boots is. And I'm not saying that Crawford thinks he's going to lose to Boots, but he knows that is a real fight. But for me, Boots is the new Crawford.
Interestingly, Terence Crawford held a victory parade in his hometown of Omaha many hours later. When he was later interviewed regarding Jaron Ennis' claims, he stated his willingness. Beyond that, he told Jaron Ennis to do what he needed to do if he really wanted the fight. If it's at 168, he can send the agreement. I definitely do it at 168. Eddie Hearn, Jaron Ennis' promoter, also confirmed this, calling it the best fight in boxing.
You know, without him, you know, really wanting to fight and putting forth an effort into doing what he can do along with me to get this fight done, we wouldn't be fighting. So it's only right that I give him that same, you know,
I want and I need. So after I do my thing, you know, Saturday night and be victorious, you know, I feel like it's only big name fights from here on out. You know, only main event headlines and pay-per-view headlines, pay-per-view fighting. So that's my goal.
Matchroom boxing promoter Eddie Hearn revealed Crawford was in talks to face former unified welterweight champion Jaron Ennis, who is preparing to make his 154-pound debut against Wismal Limo on October 11th. Terence Crawford vs. Jaron Ennis is the best fight in American boxing, Hearn told reporters on Wednesday. However, Crawford wants a payoff to pique his attention because he knows how good Boots is. I'm not saying Crawford expects to lose to Boots, but he understands that it will be a genuine fight. For me, Boots is the new Crawford. We simply need to go out and get the fights to prove how great he is.
Fight that makes a whole lot of sense, and a fight that stylistically would be, oh my goodness, is a fight between Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis.
I don't think I think that's going backwards for Terence.
To that point, Jaron doesn't have the kind of accolades. He doesn't sell to the mass and all these. So this fight was perfect timing for both these guys.
During Crawford's post-bout press conference, it was mentioned as a future fight. The 5-division champion previously stated that he will not face Ennis because he will not return to the junior middleweight class. For such a match to proceed, Ennis would need to consent to another weigh-in with Crawford. The problem is that Crawford is going to only want to fight for big money, and there are only certain fights that will generate that kind of money. According to Hearn, you're talking about a different animal in Terence Crawford, a guy whose IQ is simply off the charts. To compete with such individual, you must have the necessary experience and education. That's why I stated I enjoyed the boot fight.
A roller coaster, but you know, we made it to the top. No matter how we made it, you know, and you know, it's definitely a test to say that anything is possible if you know, work hard at it and you believe in yourself and you have the.
Ennis was a previous 147-pound IBF mandatory challenger for Crawford, who stepped up to 154 pounds last year to defeat Israel Madrimov for the World Boxing Association Championship. In doing so, the sanctioning body elevated Ennis from interim to full champion, and he went on to become the ring and WBA title by stopping Crawford-Enis in April as he trained for Lima. Ennis also acted as Alvarez's sophisticated sparring partner while preparing for Crawford.
But don't lie or kept to the net and make it seem like I had the opportunity to fight you and I didn't. I never did. You know what I'm saying? And then that one time that I did, we said they called and we said we never heard nothing else back about it. So I mean, I respect it though. I mean, get your money. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. But don't be capping on the net.
However, Alvarez's high-level training did not allow him to progress, as the Mexican star revealed after loss that his body failed him. Terence Crawford gave a great performance. Hearn stated, "I'm heartbroken for Canelo, but I'm actually glad Crawford is getting the chance to show how brilliant he is because his resume hasn't really permitted that. Don't get me wrong, he's had some impressive victories, but he could have defeated so many more of this era's great fighters. That is an incredible feat at the age of 38.
Crawford Canelo fight. Were you surprised by the outcome?
It's boxing, anything happen.
No doubt. My other question for you is, with this win, everybody said Crawford elevated his status. He's the GOAT. Do you think this win puts him on Mount Rushmore or makes him a GOAT in boxing?
Everybody got their own opinion, so
We have a tendency to retire folks. I think it's a fantastic way to go out, but I believe Crawford can move down and win a world title at 160, making him a 6-division winner. Canelo Alvarez urgently wanted to win, but Terence Crawford did not comply. More than 70,000 people attended Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and more than 41 million watched on Netflix as Crawford won a tight but decisive victory over Alvarez.
Brooks Park, South Philly.
Yeah.
All right, so they'll kill me if I don't ask you, right?
What?
Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford wins unanimous decision victory.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on the fight?
I was trying to stay up. It was getting too late, y'all. It was like, I think by the time they came on, it was probably 1 o'clock or something like that.
It was like 1 and some change.
Jaron Ennis was one of the numerous viewers. The 28-year-old from Philadelphia has often called Crawford out. He has also been compared to a future Hall of Famer. A few weeks before Alvarez finished camp, he brought in Ennis, a switch hitter. As a result, Jaron Ennis came under fire for choosing Canelo over Crawford in the fight. Despite the views of many boxing professionals, here is what he had to say.
Got a couple more days and y'all gonna see Canelo fighting Crawford, so I ain't got no comment on who gonna win the fight, you dig? If Crawford do what he's supposed to do, he got an option. If he don't beat Canelo. Simple as that.
When asked how his training camp with Canelo went, he explained that it was his second time training outside of Philadelphia, just having fun in there with Canelo. Canelo has 67 fights, so it was simply wonderful being in the ring with him. I'm glad I had the opportunity to get away, spar with Canelo, go fishing, and have fun with my brother, among other things. My weight is increasing, and I wanted to try something new. I enjoy it out there. When asked if he enjoyed his time at training camp, he replied, "Why not? If you have the opportunity to share the ring with Canelo, a Hall of Famer, legend, and the face of boxing. The sparring was excellent. I had a wonderful experience. I enjoy being in there with Canelo."
Guy of that caliber?
Yeah, why not? Why not you be able to share the ring with Canelo and like I said, being there with a Hall of Famer, legend, and face of, kind of like the face of boxing, why not?
When asked about how his sparring sessions with Canelo went viral and how many boxing fans saw the situation, he stated, "I knew it was going to be insane. Once we posted the photo, I thought, this is going to go everywhere. You may argue that it adds to the drama of the conflict. Everyone will try to focus a little more. I don't really care about the repercussions, I am not going to lie. I went out there for myself to begin my first 2 weeks of camp, with elevation and all. This was for me, not anyone else," he added.
I think Crawford's going to get the job done. I am officially picking Crawford to win this fight. It is still 50-50, but obviously...
He says that till he goes to Canelo.
I'm obviously going to say that this is a 60-40 fight, and I have Crawford winning this fight. Crawford's going to win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
Okay.
And this is going to help Canelo. He's sparring against a great fighter, world champion in Enis, and like I said before, iron sharpens iron. And maybe it will. But on the other side, it was interesting to hear your side of how, whether it's the overtraining or I think more the mental side. What if Boots is getting the best of him? How does that affect Canelo going into this fight? Why would you want to even put that doubt in your fighter's head going into...
Teddy Atlas, a legendary boxing analyst, feared that involving Jaron Ennis could backfire on the Mexican. Atlas believed that fighting against someone like Ennis would wear Alvarez out by September 13th.
He's not me.
Yeah.
You know, as much as a lot of people, you know, say we have similarities and, you know, we switch a lot and we fight a lot. He's not me, you know, and I'm not him. So.
Tim had said comparison that like he's like a Chrysler 300.
Preparations were currently underway on both sides, but the focus on Alvarez's camp is due to his sparring with Jaron Boots, and Canelo's decision to do so is merely to have him practicing with an elite boxer so that he is fully prepared to confront Crawford. However, not everyone is thrilled with the move.
And now, I think Boots brought the best out of Canelo. I don't know how many rounds they may have sparred, if it's true, but if it is true, I'm assuming that Boots may have brought the best out of Canelo Alvarez in that sparring. Showed him different looks, the switch hitting. I'm pretty sure they probably wanted Boots to, you know, emulate Crawford or just to be who he is.
What's yours?
My opinion is I like who I like. You know, I like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker.
What do you think?
I'm liking Sugar Ray Leonard. I've been watching a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard and James Tony. So they my top like guys that I've been watching. You know.
I do not want him to leave it at the gym. I don't want him to get into that kind of fight at the gym. I don't want wars with my guy, who has 65 fights. I would choose Canelo fights, with 1 or 2 days to prepare him, but only against fighters who are as smart as him. Atlas was anxious about Alvarez's age catching up with him. Crawford is older, but Canelo has more traction on his tires. Sparring with Ennis simply adds more rounds to his physique. It will be interesting to watch whether Alvarez demonstrates any signs of weariness on fight night.
I think that I would want too many highly, put it this way, I'll get right to the point. I wouldn't want wars with my guy who's been in 65 fights or 60 whatever, and is at that, 34 years.
Never! This is crazy, Chester.
I just didn't want to see
Chester.
I didn't want to see
Chester. You got a Team Crawford shirt on, hoodie on, but you going against me? You going against me? What'd he say, Red?
I said don't get spilled.
No. What'd he say?
He said you just want to see him lose.
Thank you.
15. Even with the additional assistance, Alvarez had few to no answers as Crawford fought the entire 12 rounds as a southpaw. While defeating Crawford remains his prime priority, Ennis had no choice but to praise him for his performance. Crawford's victory was impressive, as was the bout itself. Ennis told YSM Sports Media, "It was a nice triumph, he achieved a historic aim. He had a good win. Although it was wonderful to be a fan for a moment, Ennis is now focused on his own profession." The former unified welterweight champion recently surrendered his WBA and WBC ring straps and has pledged to reclaim his championship status at 154 pounds. His debut fight in his new weight class will be against Wissam Lima, October 11th at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, with the opportunity to make a statement while simultaneously gaining a secondary belt. He is foaming at the mouth as fight night approaches. "I'm feeling great," he said. "It is almost time. I am ready to put on a show. Expect a great performance and a stunning knockout."
On Thursday and Friday, when I saw Canelo in the vest, I was like, nah. I was like, no, he's gonna pull it off here. And it was an amazing performance by Terence Crawford. Yeah, I'm gutted for Canelo, but I'm actually pleased that Crawford is getting the opportunity to show how great he is, because his resume hasn't really allowed that. Don't get me wrong, he's got
16. Terence Bud Crawford was not only honored on the eve of his 38th birthday, but also enshrined. A hometown procession brought an estimated 20,000 supporters, turning city streets into a sea of blue and gold, with Crawford at the heart of a scene few fighters have ever seen. Crawford lifted his hand to the ecstatic throne while riding atop a semi-truck-mounted throne. In the midst of the shouts and camera flashes, he later sent a brief, poignant tweet. Those 6 words constituted a declaration. His roots, city, and successes are part of something larger than a single conflict. Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez earlier this month in Las Vegas generated headlines, But his homecoming took things to another level. Nebraskans lined the streets, thousands of families attended, and the events resembled a coronation for a returning hero. After all, few boxers in history have been declared unchallenged champions across numerous divisions. Though he stood proud amid the celebrations, the day had a sense of finality. Crawford is now 38 years old, and some wonder if the Canelo fight was his last. In interviews, he implied that the crash was never about money, but rather about legacy. Crawford reflected in an interview on Times when naysayers questioned his career path. "It's strange because when I was with Top Rank, everyone was saying, he's broke, he's this and that. I was getting paid well, but I was thinking, I don't need to box. I can retire. You box because you want to. I box because I enjoy it."
Moment following a once-in-a-lifetime fight.
42-0, waving to the crowd, pumping his fists like he does so well.
And a kid on his lap. I love it. Guys, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but it's hard to hear anything because it is loud. The city of Omaha is out. Bud Crawford making his way to the Heartland of America Park.
My opinion is I like who I like. You know, I like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker.
What do you think?
I'm liking Sugar Ray Leonard. I've been watching a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard and James Toney. So they my top guys that I've been watching. You know?
Fair enough. Last question on the topic. Is that a fight, because people want to know, is that a fight that you still are interested in? Or you moved on? You moved on from wanting to fight Crawford. Is this still a fight that you have interest in?
My main focus right now is October 11th. That's all I'm worried about. October 11th. I ain't worried about no outsiders. You know, I like that. That's how.
17. They'll be talking about Bud Crawford, the child from Omaha, Nebraska. 100 years from now, he advanced 2 or 3 divisions and defeated Canelo Alvarez, and I am confident that my name will be rung and discussed after I am no longer alive. This is what legacy is all about. Crawford's words hold personal significance. The coming decades will determine whether that promise is kept. On this particular day, Omaha appeared convinced. This was no ordinary victory parade. It was the crystallization of identity, memory, and anticipation. Crawford's home state had become his amplification board, as had his city and co-author. It is no secret that Ennis struggles to reach the 147-pound limit, which is what spurred his move up to junior middleweight. To be honest, I'm not sure if Boots will stay at 147, Hearn told the boxing scene.
I figured it being so close to the fight too as well. You know, you're kind of like tunnel vision when it comes to your opponent. And the only reason why I ask is because, Turkey had mentioned that if Teo gets past Barboza, we could see a fight with you and Teofimo. I know Top Rank tried to make that fight as well. So I was just curious now, like, what do you think of Teofimo as a fighter?
He's a good fighter, good fighter. That's about it.
18. The Stanone's performance was fantastic. The medical metrics weren't as impressive, but it's tricky because I believe Boots will perform significantly better at 154. He intended to stay there to unify, and he's accomplished his goal. It's a difficult decision. We prefer the Teofimo Lopez fight, but I believe if he stays at 147, he will face Teofimo Lopez, and if he doesn't, he'll undoubtedly move to 154, with Brian Norman fighting in July in Japan, and Barrio facing Pacquiao. The unifications aren't really there. Boots is very unique. He went on to explain, I believe he is not motivated by money. Of course he is, but he is all about legacy, and he is willing to sacrifice his body to achieve 147, but only for the sake of unification. So the Teofimo conflict is a little different, but it's a significant one. So, we'll need to make a decision shortly. Ennis recruited a dietitian to help him prepare for his fight with Stanonis. On fight night, Ennis appeared to be much larger than Stanonis and easily dominated him. However, Hearn admitted that making the weight was still difficult. It was likely not as awful as the Karen Chukagian battle. But I believe many people point out over the week how tight he appears at the weight. He claimed he wasn't dead on the scale for Stanonis. Not at all. But it's a big ask to continually lowering himself down to 147.
That fight, Jaron, just give us your perspective on that and him saying those comments.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't even know what you're talking about. I've been so locked in and zoned in what I got going on, I ain't been worrying about nobody else doing nothing. Like, I just been going to the gym, training, you know, locking in books and things like that, you know, even coloring a little bit. I'm just so focused on what I got going on. I really ain't been on social media. I post whatever I post.
19. And it's more than just, can you make it, a test? Can you make it and perform at your best? And I believe he feels that even in the Stannis fight, that wasn't his best, most powerful version of himself, which is strange because I thought it was unbelievable. But this is what you're going to get from him at 154. And in those weights, you're going to get someone with a lot more power, even though he is it at 147. And that's all for now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date on the latest boxing news, moments, events, and actions. Don't forget to enable alerts so you can be notified when we publish high-quality stuff like this. Until the next time, peace out.